Today we are exploring a question that I think a lot of people answer incorrectly or at least incompletely. And that is the question, who keeps time in the band? And this seems like an easy one, and even most non-musicians will say, well, the drummer keeps time in the band. That's the drummer's role, is it not? To keep time in the band. But I don't really think that this is the full picture. The burden falls on everyone in the band to keep time because everyone in the band has influence over the time. And to understand how everyone in the band has influence over the time, we need to talk about transients. Transients are the very first part of any sound that you hear, be it a guitar string being plucked, a tom being hit, a voice singing. The very first part of any noise is called the transient, and it's what gives our brains rhythmic information, and it's what places things in time in our minds. And because drums have very sharp and very obvious transients, it's easy for us to think that drums are the default timekeeper, or that we are getting all of our rhythmic information from the drums, but that's really not the case. Guitars, bass, keyboards, vocals, all other instruments equally deliver transients to some degree, just depending on what they're playing and what the context of the music is, and in some cases can be delivering much more rhythmic information than the drum set. For example, if a guitar is playing a 16th note pattern and I on the drums am only playing quarter notes, well, you're getting more rhythmic information from the guitar, and in that case, the guitar is informing your brain more about the time than I as the drummer am. Now, because everyone in the band has influence over the time, that means that they can be influenced or that they can influence others in the band. So it may be that a particular band has a drummer that tends to be the primary timekeeper and keep everyone else in check, but I've heard just as many bands where the bass player is really the one delivering most of the rhythmic information to the rest of the band members and to the audience and keeping everyone in check. But even a vocalist, depending on what their role in the band is, can be keeping everyone in check. And I've definitely been in bands where I am following the vocals most closely to determine where the time ought to be. Now, I want to give you an example of what this sounds like in practice. So I'm going to record a few parts. I'm going to record drums, bass, and guitar, and I'm going to hopefully try and get them all basically perfectly in time with a metronome. Let you hear what it sounds like to have all instruments playing in time, and then each instrument individually either rushing or dragging or somehow influencing the time negatively, even though all the other instruments, maybe including the drums, might be in time. So here's what that's going to sound like. So hopefully you could hear from those examples that it didn't really matter whether the drums in particular were in time. If anything else in the band is out of time, it's still going to sound wrong because we're only hearing these instruments in relation to each other. So the responsibility falls on everyone in the band to keep time. Now again, because real musicians have real-time influence on each other, it may fall to one person or one group of people in the band to try and keep other people in check. Maybe if other people have a tendency to rush or drag, maybe it is in fact the drummer that keeps everyone from rushing, but it might be the bass player who plays that role. Everyone in the band has that same sort of influence, just depending on the genre, depending on the context, depending on the song. But everyone has that influence and everyone in the band can exert it. So hopefully this makes sense, and hopefully it doesn't come across as me trying to exonerate drummers from their timekeeping duties. Drummers still have to keep time, but so does everyone else in the band. I think that this is a myth that just needs to be dispelled. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think about this idea. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.